We've been watching hundreds of people file into the Capitol to pay their respects to the late senator. Now, every single time Grand Canyon Rapids comes out here on the Colorado River, this is what Florence has done. Taken these healthy bulls and made them dried up. It is controlled by DOI public land, according to the Border Patrol. It goes all the way, almost to my knees, so it's all the way up here and way deeper back there and in the backcountry. Vehicle registration has gone up from 7.9 million to 8.5. Just as one side of the street has those who support DACA and want to create a DREAM Act, the other side of the street is in protest. A Hawaii soldier from Schofield Barracks is now in federal custody. Y sus voluntarios viven lo que dicen es la criminalización de ayuda humanitaria. Captain Shane Doan, having been here for over 20 years in the desert, may not see his 21st season. Directly impacting the votes that are going on right now. In Washington, Lillian Donahue, Cronkite News. Groups like No More Deaths say they're trying to save lives by leaving water and food behind, but continue to find resources decimated before migrants can get to them. Unforgiving terrain, stifling heat, and dangerous wildlife consume parts of the southern border. Volunteers with No More Deaths cross this landscape daily, leaving life-saving supplies.
This is a type of area where people are crossing. The remains of 3 people were found right in this area.
It's a treacherous voyage, which is why certain groups leave supplies along the route, hoping to make this potentially deadly trip a bit safer for undocumented immigrants trying to cross. The organization No More Deaths Arizona has put out nearly 32,000 of these water jugs in the past 6 years alone. And 80% of that has been used by migrants on these trails.
We try and leave them in spots that'll be shaded, protected from the sun, visible from the trail, but also not overly visible to protect them from destruction and vandalization.
A recent report by the organization says volunteers in just one desert corridor found more than 3,500 gallons of water destroyed over a 3-year period. This video, obtained through hidden cameras placed by No More Deaths, allegedly shows Border Patrol agents knocking over jugs and pouring out the water.
So you get a good shot. Picking up this trash somebody left on the trail.
For its part, Border Patrol says they don't tolerate this kind of behavior.
Tucson sector does not condone or encourage the destruction or tampering with any water or food. If it does happen, we want to be made aware of it, so therefore we can take corrective actions against the agents that conduct those activities.
The destruction of aid supplies is a deadly act.
But No More Deaths says they're not satisfied and will continue to watch Border Patrol practices. In the meantime, volunteers continue setting out for more water drops.
Being able to walk into the desert and put water and beans out feels like a small act, but it actually is really important.
That means people of the blue-green water. That's who we are. That's our identity right there.
Tucked in the southwest corner of the Grand Canyon is a community of 700 men, women, and children of the Havasupai tribe fighting for their future. As a uranium mine hopes to begin production this year, just 6 miles south from the Grand Canyon National Park.
It's threatening our whole lives down here. You know, we have children, we've grown up here, we plant corn, we depend on the water.
To make their voices heard, a group of Native advocates and leaders took to their traditions, running over 20 miles in and out of the village of Supai in a journey to bring the pleas of the tribe's children from the bottom of the Grand Canyon to our nation's capital.
These children have so much more life to live than any one of us, and it's really their voice that needs to be heard. Granted, we can't take them and put them on an airplane and fly them to the East Coast, so we're doing the next best thing as their leaders, as their representatives, and we're going to deliver their voices to Washington, D.C.
Across this bridge in the Havasupai Creek starts the village of Supai. Out of respect for the Tribal Council's wishes, they have asked us not to film video on their grounds. However, we will take audio and pictures.
Have love, give love, be in love.
After a blessing, the runners meet with elementary school children, collecting letters that voice their concerns for mining impacts on the land, including their water source, the Colorado River.
Dear Mr. President, I'm a student at Havasupai Elementary School and a member of the Havasupai Baja tribe.
In 2012, the Obama administration instituted a 20-year ban on new uranium mining. Now the Trump administration is considering lifting that ban. For companies like Energy Fuels, it makes it easier to continue their plan to collect more than 2 million pounds of uranium from the Canyon mine.
Contamination from the mining has the potential to impact rivers and water sources downstream.
A spokesperson for the company says the mine is small, yet important for the state.
We estimate that the uranium that comes out of the Canyon mine could provide all of the electricity for the state of Arizona for about a year.
Moore also says he wants to ensure the people of Supai that water contamination will not be an issue.
And if I really thought that there would be any chance that we were going to harm any of that, I simply couldn't work for this company.
But the people who live in these Red Rock valleys and desert canyons are hesitant to trust mining companies who they say have exploited their land before.
We've been hurt so much from uranium exploration in tribal communities. That legacy is there, and there's nobody coming in to clean up the mess.
For some at the Havasupai Elementary School, the runner's visit empowers them.
It's incredible because I never knew that other people knew that Supai existed, and it's really awesome to have him here, really to come and help us make a bigger voice out of us.
The children have a strong voice, and we let them know that their ancestors fought very hard for to continue their way of life teaching, and they're going to do the same by writing these letters.
Right. The runners leave Supai with letters in hand, carrying the hopes of the Havasupai people. It's a message they hope will be heard far from the canyon walls, over the din of the falls, and all the way to the highest office in the land.
Walls work. This has been proven.
Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen called the situation on the U.S.-Mexico border a crisis after a brief tour in California and Arizona. The secretary standing firm in the president's continued plans in building a wall and deploying thousands of National Guard troops to the border.
You have the professionals of the Border Patrol who for decades have been on the border and have seen what works and doesn't work, and this is what they're saying that they need.
Officials say there's still more demand than supply with National Guard troops, and so they expect more in the future. But for now, it will be capped at 440 troops on the ground in Arizona. Governor Doug Ducey praised this military action along the border.
Recent action by our federal government to secure our southern border is welcome, appreciated, and long overdue.
Conservationists with the Center for Biological Diversity say fortifying the border is, quote, disturbing and a danger to native animals. However, during her visit near Yuma, Secretary Nielsen reiterated that the Trump administration fully intends to move forward.
But we will not be discouraged or dissuaded from our need to secure the border, and we will take every step possible to secure our nation.
In San Luis, Arizona, Lillian Donahue, Cronkite News. More than a month after Hurricane Florence crashed into the Carolina coast, there are still a dozen shelters open and hundreds of people whose lives have been completely uprooted.
And I told my baby Lucky, I said, I think we got about 15 minutes. We're going to be sitting in the water.
Trees uprooted, homes destroyed, all the belongings are scattered all over everywhere.
I'm upset, to see it all ruined like this.
They just lose it. It's just all gone.
It's a sleepy Saturday in Morehead City, North Carolina, a far cry from just a month before when one of the strongest storms in recent years thrashed the coast. The hurricane may be long gone, but its aftermath lives on as people remain displaced in the state.
You ready to go in if you want to go in?
Like Wade and Mary Rochford. The couple and their autistic adult twins cannot return to a mold-saturated home after it completely flooded during the storm.
Yeah, there's a lot of memories in here for just the 10 years we lived here. It's heartbreak on there because I've had a lot of good memories in here, and I've had a few that weren't so good, but that's just being a family,
And they're not alone.
It's not just this piece of land right here that got this damage. It's the circles that just radiate out to impact so many people.
For more than 2.5 weeks, longtime Arizona Red Cross volunteer Jean Curry has been at a local shelter where the Rochfords are staying, along with more than 30 other survivors and their pets.
Folks had a home, and now they don't. Folks had belongings, and now they don't. You have a good day, Susan.
Yes.
She's helping residents transition out of the shelter and back to their lives, like Willie, who was homeless when the storm hit. This video shows the moment he was airlifted off a van by the U.S. Coast Guard as floodwaters rose.
And he told me, he said, give your chihuahua to him, and I will put you in that basket. And he did. Wonderful man. Picked me up like a 5-pound sack of potatoes. The good Lord sent me a miracle Monday morning of that day.